Welcome, everybody. Today we are talking with Lisa Risby, one of the top athletes, at least in the Swedish national team, the fifth top women athlete according to IOF World Ranking for 2022, the world champion from the relay 2021, and an amazing person, as far as I know, as far as I've been able to gather from our initial chat. So welcome, Lisa, to the channel.
Thank you.
We're going to talk about 30 different things today. So I specifically didn't give you a specific theme about our chat because I want to poke around many different places. So let's see how it goes. What I want to start with is the Swedish national team. So you're part of the Swedish national team, and I've been wondering for many years, how hard is it to get to the national team in Sweden? Because the way that, for example, people in Poland are looking at Swedish runners is that if like the top 10 Swedish runners came to the Polish champs, they would probably take top 10 places, right? So it seems like there is a very huge competition over there. There are lots of people on a very high level. So how hard is it actually to get to the team? How do you feel about it?
Well, I mean, I haven't been in the national team like all the time as a senior. So of course it's like it's quite hard to get in the national team, and it's even harder to get to a World Cup and much harder to get to the WOC. So I think, yeah, it's hard, and I also think it depends on maybe a little bit your background and in which time in life you like develop your physical skills and technical skills. So I mean, even though you aren't in a national team the first year as a senior, you could develop your skills quite late on, because that's when you have your, like, how do you say it? You are getting better and better. So I guess that depends on who you're asking as well, because we are different.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. It makes sense. But at the same time, do you feel like you have to work really, really hard to get to the national team? Or is it like something that you can achieve with a moderate amount of training and effort?
No, not moderate.
Not moderate.
No, it's nothing moderate about being in a national team in Sweden. No.
Yeah, I would imagine that. I mean, looking at the level that the members of the team are running at, it doesn't look like anything you can achieve with that moderate amount of training. Although I remember like 20 years ago, there was this notion that was probably totally untrue, that people in Sweden don't really even train professionally, especially when it comes to athlete preparation, like track running and stuff. And they're just so good with the map because they have amazing terrains, and they also have orienteering that is like a lot more popular sport compared to other countries. You start orienteering very often at school, right? You have school programs where you teach orienteering. So just because of this, you're such good athletes and so good at the sport. But as time passed, and I've met many people from Scandinavia in general, I've discovered that that's totally untrue. And the runners that are at the top are just purely dedicated to doing this, and they put tons of work into just getting good, as probably is true in your case as well, isn't it?
Yeah, well, yes, I have like dedicated the last 10 years for this, so I guess, yeah.
So how much do you train a week?
Well, it depends on if it's in like competition season or during the winter, but this winter I've been doing about 16 hours a week. So, and then like when it's I'm a person who gets quite tired in my head from a lot of competitions, so then I maybe do 12 in the spring and the autumn.
Okay. And these 16 hours, what do you include in there? Is it just running, or is it running plus running with the map, I assume, if it happens? but you might also be, I don't know, biking, swimming,
yeah,
stretching.
It's all maybe because I like all type of physical training. I do like biking, cross country skiing, running. No, I don't put that into that. I don't count that.
Do you do gym? Do you go to the gym?
Not a lot.
You don't need it.
Well, I did a lot when I was younger. I did quite a lot of strength, but I've done it actually less and less as I'm getting older. I feel like I need it less and less. So that's why, basically.
Okay, fair enough. So coming back to the national team, how do you see people inside the team? Do you see them as your competition, your rivals, or do you see them as friends and you always help each other out? How does it look like?
Well, I don't think it's one of them. I mean, when we are doing a mass start together, all of us, of course, they are my rivals. That's just a part of the game. But I don't feel like they are my rivals when we are not running like competition against each other.
Okay, so that's probably the healthiest approach that you can make or you can take. Is it difficult to make this switch that, okay, I'm with my friends, but now we are going to do the first leg mass start, so I will not help anyone and I'm just going to try to beat everyone?
I thought it was harder when I was younger, but not anymore. I mean, I often need like maybe 1 minute before start and then I'm there. So, and sometimes you need some space like after when you have reached the goal. So if someone is maybe beating you and is really upset, even though they beat you, you maybe just need to just slip away for some time just to like control your own thoughts before you say something you will regret, because competition is like, it makes you feel things. That's just the way it is.
Yeah. Just like in life, right?
Yeah, just like in life.
Sometimes at work, it's exactly the same thing. People get on your nerves and you need to control yourself. Yeah, so I was going to say that you're absolutely right, that the younger you are, the more difficult it is to make this switch, especially for some runners. But I feel like it's helpful, right, to be able to switch between the friendship mode, let's call it, and competition mode, and be able to, because I think that the competition brings out some amazing things from inside ourselves, right? It's you go into a state that is a lot more similar to what you will be at during the actual competition that you will be running, like let's say the world champs. And I think that making this switch is quite important so that you can familiarize yourself with this feeling, with how you react to it. What is your train of thoughts? How do you behave seeing other people in the forest at this time, right? And what do you do?
I actually, I'm just trying to, how do you say, see like the competition as one thing and all the rest as just you. Like when I'm doing a competition, that's all about me. Okay, so that's just my space and I don't have to mind anybody else. And when I'm done with that, I'm done with that. I don't know. I don't try to do it as so complicated.
That's very interesting. I want to dig deeper into this. So if you can try explain the difference between your competition state and, let's say, the run that you're having at the training camp of the national team. What is this difference in your head?
No, I don't. I wouldn't say it's a big difference. I mean, I'm trying to do the best that I can in the situation I have in front of me. But I think that when you are trying, like, maybe this is like when, you know, when you are doing like some sort of sport in a team, you have to focus on many different people, and you have to see how they act, how they behave. And when you're running orienteering, the only focus you need is basically your own behavior.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, and I would say it's not a difference between competing and doing a training. The problem is when you're trying to do something different on a competition comparing to training.
Yeah,
that's
again,
when you're trying to, like, how do you say, you're trying to force you to do something that you are not comfortable with. Right, exactly. So I'm just trying, like, on a just regular training, I'm trying to do the same. How much time do I need to get in focus? Yeah, okay, I know I need 1 minute. That's all. That's actually very good. Yeah, so then I take that minute, and then I do my job, and then when I'm done, I'm done. All right, I understand it now. Okay, so we are basically saying the same thing. That's what I gather from what you said. That if you should be training as similarly as possible to the competition environment, including your mindset, right? And absolutely no experimenting during the most important days. Exactly. All right, makes sense. Let's move on then. So you became the world champion in 2021, Czech Republic, world orienteering champs, in a relay with two of your teammates. How did it make you feel? Yeah, actually, just the night after, I didn't feel that much, but that's because I knew it was a long distance directly after. Yeah. So actually, through all that week, I didn't allow myself to feel that much. I just allowed myself to try to focus on the next assignment that I had. And after the long distance, that was like the time when I felt a lot of things, because it was like I'd run one WOC beforehand. It was in 2018 in Latvia, and it was not a good race, like as you want it to be. And I was of course, I was a bit nervous beforehand that, oh my God, if I do the same again, I will be really disappointed in me. So I tried to just do everything in steps, like all the time, and just do one thing at a time, and keep focused on what I needed to do next. And when I had run that long distance, I felt like, holy shit, I just did like the best performances, like in all my careers on these days, and it was absolutely wonderful. So after that, I felt like for all the distances, I felt everything. Was it your dream to become the world champion at some point? Yeah, of course. I can't put all this energy and all this time into something and not have the dream of being world champion. that would be hard. Yeah, it's not impossible, but it is maybe other people can do that. I can't. Understood. I know people that can do that. Okay. Yeah. Do you? I'm guessing that you also have a dream of getting the medal or even becoming the world champion in an individual race as well. Yes. And I think once you were very close. You placed 4th. Yeah. How does it do you feel like it's a big difference placing 4th and placing 3rd and getting on the podium? Or is it not that big of a difference because you actually care about the first place mostly? No, like if you don't enjoy the small victories, or for me it was a big victory. I mean, I hadn't been close to that position on the WOC ever. So for me it was a win. Yeah. So I don't think I was even thinking about, oh, I could have been third, because I was really like, for me, I want to do more WOC, of course. That's just, I want to go for the medals on WOC this year and like the coming years. But I'm really happy that I got that race that I had, because I ran that race completely solo. And it gave me a really like big confidence that I can do a good race any day, like in a situation when I am completely alone. So for me, it was really good. I'm really happy that I got the race that I got. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, that's a wonderful mindset. I feel like, and connected to what you said before, so be happy about the small wins and treat it as a win. And I believe that being able to cherish those small moments is important. But there is also another thing that I want to comment on. So you said that when you placed fourth, it felt like a victory because you were able to have the perfect race at a right day, right? This was, if probably you would get to choose when you want to have the perfect race, this was probably the best time to have it, right? And I feel that this is also something that should bring people a lot of joy, and you're definitely enjoying it, so that's awesome. But I also want to emphasize it, because I know some people that go to the major competition, they have a good race, but they are disappointed with the end result. And I always believe that if you did your best and you think that this was a good race, there's nothing to be said about that. It's actually a happy moment, because this was what you could have achieved during that time, and others were just better at the time. So work harder, get better for the next competition, but be happy about what you achieved now, right? Would you agree?
Yeah, so of course it could be, if you, for example, if I was maybe 14 again with a perfect race, or like a race that I really wanted, I would be disappointed, because I was aiming quite much higher. So I would be maybe a bit empty after race if I got a, like, my goal for that race was the medal. But I know that there are so many people who are good, so I can't like expect to get a medal. That would be like, how do you say? I wouldn't be so grounded if I saw things like that.
It's like wishful thinking a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
I always say that that the place is something you cannot control, because
exactly.
you can't control the performances of other people. You can control your own performance. So as long as your own performance is great, that's a reason to be happy.
Yeah, but I think it's I think there are many people who will be disappointed even though they do a good race, because we have like high expectation on ourselves, and that's just natural to feel.
Yes, and I also feel that if you are a great athlete, you need to be a little bit competitive. So
Yeah,
obviously it hurts a little right over here.
Yeah, and I think that's just the way it is, and it have to be. But I also think that if just winning is the only thing that could make you happy, then I probably would think, if that was the case for me, that doing sports or doing this kind of life would be really hard.
It would be terrible.
Yeah, it would be terrible, and I've done it. I've done it before, but it wasn't nice.
Imagine how few people would be happy in this kind of situation. Everybody would be sad. Yeah, but I also feel like what you said about when I was younger, I would probably feel different. That's also very true, because I'm mostly working with the youth. As I said, I'm coaching the junior national team, and they definitely struggle with this a lot more than people that are grown up, and they like understand it better, or maybe they are already more accustomed to it. Hard to say. but there is a difference, and growing up helps.
Yeah, it does.
All right. I also want to touch on another topic that you've mentioned. So you said that you were proud of this fourth place, partly because you ran it by yourself, which I totally agree. It's definitely harder to perform fantastic when you don't have other people to help you out, right? But let's talk a little bit about running in with someone else, or running in a group. I've always been wondering, and when I was young, there was this in the laws of orienteering in Poland. There was this line that said that if you're following another runner, it's not allowed, and it's actually the base for disqualification. I've been thinking about it many times, and I always thought that this is something that can never be proven, because the runner that is following another runner can always say that I just had the same idea. And it's not my fault that he was running, or she was running in front of me. So how do you feel about this? Do you like when you get a chance to run after a better run? Let's say that Tove is catching up to you. Sorry, I'm assuming that Tove is better.
It's okay.
But let's take with it, right? Let's say that Tove is catching up to you. Would you like forget about your orienteering, or just limit the orienteering to the minimum required and push as hard as you can after her?
I think okay, this is when you are in that situation, it would be really hard to be a person who are competitive and just like let that back just go. That would be yeah, that would be really weird for me to do. So I would do anything to keep that the same pace. But I think when you get to a certain point at a high level of orienteering, you never trust anyone fully. So for me, I would never stop doing my orienteering. But I will use the speed.
Right. So yeah, again, this is probably the answer that most of the people would give, because this is your chance to have a better race. So why wouldn't you use it? And I think, as far as I know, it's currently not banned on the competition, because it's not provable. So there's no basis to disqualify anyone just for that. And there have been people that were able to catch a very good runner, get a medal on the World Champs, and probably without this chance, they wouldn't be able to achieve such a high result. So it happened in the history of World Orienteering Champs, and it probably will happen in the future as well. Who knows? And the competing person inside of me and everyone else will probably not allow us to just pass on the chance to have a better result in this kind of situation.
But I don't think it's about the result in that situation. I think it's like, if someone is passing you, of course you want to follow. You don't think like, oh, Tove is coming, I can win the medal on WOC. That's not the first thought. It's like, oh, I need to keep the pace. That's just the way it is. I don't think about the medals when I'm out in the forest, because that would be boring. It would be boring to just follow her to get a medal on WOC. If I want to follow her, it's because I have the ability to keep the speed and doing my orienteering, and still value the choices that I have in front of me. Otherwise, it wouldn't be fun to get in goal, I think.
Okay. I think it's beautiful what you said. I don't think everybody thinks like this, but I think that is beautiful. I was, preparing for this. I was browsing through the internet, searching for anything I can find about you. Stalking you.
Okay, nice.
And I've been to your Instagram as well. And on your Instagram, I saw a short video. I think it was from Czech Republic, and when you were running the relay, you were coming to the changeover, and you were shouting something to the person that you were that was
Sara.
running behind you. What was it? Do you remember?
Yeah, I was shouting to Sara that this course will suit you so perfectly, so you can just do your thing. You will be awesome. And then I'm almost fainted afterward because I had so high pulse, and then I was screaming so much. So afterward, it was just completely black in front of my eyes.
Amazing. I was wondering, if you're giving some tips, some instructions, watch out for control number 13 is hidden or something.
No, it was just, I know how good Sara is technical. And I know that she would do the perfect decisions once she was out. So it wasn't any meaning to give her a technical tip at that point.
Amazing, fantastic. Cool. I was just wondering what was in your head at that time. Would you say that it's easier to get a medal, World Orienteering Championship medal in a relay than individual? Probably yes, right?
Yeah, for me, of course.
What do you think? So you said that you are aiming for the medals in this year, maybe the following year as well. What is it that you have to improve to get there? Is it like, do you need a little bit more luck while running, or is there some aspects of your orienteering or maybe physical abilities that you know that you have to work on to get better?
Well, I had beforehand, I were quite slow in the orienteering, and I was quite good physically, and that was a problem. Maybe the last 2 or 3 years, I have evened it out. So I think at this point, it's mainly about doing everything faster. I would say, honestly, I have some downhill work to do. Definitely, I'm not as good at downhill as I am on flat ground and uphill. So that's one thing that I really need to work on. And I need to be a little bit more certain in my orienteering, like the last couple of 100 meters. I could be more offensive than what I have been the later years. But mainly it's about doing everything better all the time. Because I think when you get to a certain level, it's quite hard to point out one thing that you are bad at, because you have worked for 10 years on all those things. So you have already increased the level quite much. Now you just need to continue what you have done for those years and become better. I think that's the answer to that.
All right. So you think that physically you're ready to compete with the best?
Oh, I need to be faster, of course. But I can't say that one thing it is the biggest problem.
Okay. Yeah, I understand that.
I mean that I need to improve everything. I need to do everything a little bit faster.
So how do you train for this? Just run more competitions?
Yeah, basically for WOC this year, I'm trying to. For now, I've been injured for the last 2.5 months.
Oh, sorry to hear that. What happened?
Yeah, so but I'm on my way back now. Hopefully. Okay. So basically for WOC, I'm thinking quite a lot of how to improve specifically for WOC. And that was why I was talking about downhill running, because that hasn't been my best thing before. So I really need to focus on that quite a lot and do the orienteering fast. For example, Sara Hagström, she's extremely fast in the orienteering. So I need to be as fast as her and as tough as Tove. And, I need to try to see where all my competitors, what they are good at, and try to do the exactly same thing.
Yeah. So if you take the best parts of everyone else
Yeah, exactly. And then try to repeat it.
How do you train for faster downhill running?
I run fast downhill. You just answered to that question.
Yeah, I guess so. We've had this discussion several times with one of the currently best orienteers in Poland. My friend that I'm actually going to be talking with next week as well for the channel. And he also said that very often they notice that the Polish runners are losing time going downhill because we are not used to, especially in a rocky terrain where there's rough ground, go down as fast as other runners. And I guess it's so I ask because I think that there are two elements connected with it. One element is you actually need to be brave enough and have strong legs and good balance to go down fast. Another element is that it's harder to read the map when you're going downhill, right? So if you have a longer leg downhill and you need to read the map while running, that's also a challenge. So that's why I asked maybe because maybe you meant the second thing. But if you mean the first thing, that yeah, obviously you just need to force yourself to run fast downhill. But I think that it's always like a little bit of a trade-off between safety and speed, right? So how do you feel about it? Do you feel like you have to break through your mental capacity of running safer and just take on more risk?
Well, I feel like I need to take more risks downhill. Yes, especially I have had some problems with my ankles.
Me too.
Yeah, we are a lot of people that had that problem. So I guess that's like when you're running downhill and you're like really going in for it, and then suddenly you hear the noise when you twist your ankle. You're like, okay, I just slow down a little bit, and that's something that you really have to work on when you have had those problems. Yes. But I think it's also a problem that I get a bit passive while running downhill, because if you go too far, like in Switzerland, if you go too far, like it could be a short distance, but it could be a major problem, like in time.
Right, exactly, right. 2-3 contours and you lose like half a minute or 1 minute.
Exactly. So I think it's you have to be thorough and you have to do the work, but you can't be afraid that what you see is the wrong thing. True. And I often feel like that's the case in a downhill, that you get worried, oh my God, is this really, do I really see the right depression? Is it really this? And then you get passive and it goes way too slow. So it's mainly about that I'm doing the orienteering in a different way when it's downhill than like the rest of the course, you can say. I would never on a flat ground, when I was doing had a good direction, I would never think, oh, it's probably the wrong contour. That wouldn't happen, because I will find it out if I get to the wrong point. But if I'm starting to thinking about it, you will start doing everything too slow all the time.
True. Okay. One more thing I want to touch regarding what you mentioned. So you said maybe I want to be as tough as Tove. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, she's yeah, I think she risks a little bit more in the downhills than I do. Okay.
Yeah. This is something that again was on my mind for a long time, and I had some female runners here on the channel, but I didn't ask any one of those. So I'll ask you, how do you feel about running through those bushes, thorny things, branches that are scratching you? Women are very often a little bit afraid to get scratches on their hands, on their legs, because then you can't wear a skirt, for example, outside. How does it work for you, ladies?
No, I've never thought of that.
Okay. No. So it's not a problem for you in general.
No.
All right. Not. So, okay, in my mind, you have the toughness needed to be an orienteer. Cool. Okay, so you said that your plan for for the upcoming season and the next one as well is to aim for the top spots. What is your preparation plan regarding that? Do you go to any specific training camps before the major competitions? Do you maybe, I don't know, go to Kenya for high altitude training?
For me, it's like I'm not doing a lot of high altitude training because I have never had any problems when I've been on high altitude. So I'm not focusing on that. I am trying more to specifically like prepare for the type of train that I'm going to run in, so I can be as good as I can in that type of train. So I was for like in August, I was in Switzerland for doing some WOC training. And I have always had like the aim that I will be like about 1 month in the like relevant train before WOC. That's like the minimum like amount of time that I want to spend in that train beforehand.
Okay, so that's 1 month in the relevant terrain for the WOC.
Yeah, and it depends on the type of train. Like for like Estonia, I like understand that type of train quite fast.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, okay, then I don't need that much. Like for WOC in Czech Republic, I felt like, yeah, 1 month, that's what I need. And I felt with WOC in Switzerland, I want more than 1 month. So I planned like 7 weeks in total in the train. So hopefully I will manage to do it as well, but you never know.
How does your work allow you to do that?
I've actually switched work from so I can't say, well, in my work I can do quite a lot of job like from distance. And I'm not doing 100%. So I can, sometimes I'm doing 100% in periods just to take completely free in periods. It actually have been working quite well for me to be away. Maybe you should ask my employer.
No, I just feel that it's amazing that you're able to balance it, and I'm as an employee myself, I feel like it's really awesome that companies are allowing the employees to have this degree of freedom so that they can pursue their passions. And I personally believe that thanks to this, you are a better person in the end, and you will be more engaged in what you're doing anyway. So there's no downside to it.
Yeah, but like for sure, they have been like, since I've started to work, I've got like really much help to manage to do what I'm doing, both from my colleagues and from my boss. So I mean, they really understand and they really try to help me, and they know that I have like a time limit,
Yes.
I can't do this forever.
That's true.
My age will catch up eventually.
That's true. Yeah, it happens to all of us. How do you feel about the split of WOC into sprint and forest?
Honestly, no, I'm not so fond of it, to be honest. But that's mainly because we got more like championships, since it's 2 each year. So it's both sprint and forest distances, and I'm not. Yeah, I don't think. I don't want the sport to be divided as well. So I think that's another aspect that I don't like about it. But we will see. Maybe it will turn out. The problem, or the thing with when you are doing new things, is that you don't know until some years after if it was good or bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you prefer the forest races or the sprint races, or you don't mind?
Forest.
That's what I thought. Because usually when I'm asking this question, people that don't like the split are the forest people. And the reason is that now, because of the split, for 1 year, you're forced to do a lot more sprints. And this is painful for those of us, because I belong to this category as well, that prefer the greenery of the forest.
Yeah, and I also, for me, it has been a problem. I've tried to do the sprint, but I get quite much injuries from it.
Yeah, same here.
So that's also a thing.
Whenever I try to incorporate some fast running into my training regime, it's usually a very short way to the next injury.
Yeah, but with that said, I'm trying to get better at sprint, but it's a rocky road.
Yeah. I've been talking to several younger athletes that say that, okay, they are struggling with sprint distances. And the answer is always the same. Just because you're struggling with it doesn't mean that you can't be good at it, right? It just maybe needs a little bit of an effort, and maybe a little bit of love, even though it's tough love. And you'll get there.
Yeah, and the struggling makes the success even better.
True, that's true. So here is an interesting exercise that I want to give you. You ready for a challenge?
Okay.
You are about to explain what orienteering is to a person that has no idea about orienteering. But you cannot explain it in terms of what you do and what you use, but you have to explain it in terms of feelings and emotions that you get from the sport. What would you say?
Wow.
I know.
Okay, that was
You can take some time.
a nasty one. Okay, anger. Love.
Okay. You will feel anger and love.
Yeah.
Okay.
Frustration.
A lot of it, or just
a lot of
it?
frustration, yes. Joy. Family. Or that maybe not a feeling, but like
it's okay.
It's okay, yeah. Yeah, I don't know if I can give you something better than that.
That's already good.
It's everything, I would say. All types of feelings. So I don't know. It's
where's the anger coming from?
Oh, haven't you done mistakes?
How do you quelch your anger in the forest? You're making a mistake, and you can't let this affect the rest of your race. How do you deal with this?
Well, I can use it as energy.
And do you?
I mean, anger is a mindset that you could use to. Oh, sorry. It's a mindset that you can use to do something good. I mean, you can use the anger to get focused. I mean, you can get. Yeah, I would say I use it to get focused, because I don't like what just happened. I get mad. I need to focus my anger into something, and that is to not do this again.
Does it work?
Yes.
Amazing. I mean, it's a very good process, but it's difficult. Again, especially for younger runners, it's so difficult for them. They make a mistake, and the first thought that comes to their head is the result. I failed. Whatever the goal was in my head, it's not achievable right now. Or maybe it is still achievable, but now I have to push harder.
Yeah.
Which is also not the greatest choice, right?
That's not good. And I had this, it was on the selection races for Czech Republic, or for the WOC in Czech Republic. It was a middle distance, and I was super nervous before the start. I think I didn't, it was not so many competitions because it was during the Corona pandemic. Yeah. And I remember Eskil told me afterwards that it was so weird. It was so weird when we were going to that competition. I have never been so nervous before. And I did like a 1.5 minute mistake on the first control. And that hurts quite a lot because I thought like, okay, this is it. And I got, of course, really mad at myself. But I had, like, at that point, what did I have to lose? I just needed to do everything perfect. And I just needed that, like, it's a stress to do a mistake. And a stress is not necessarily bad. Like, to be focused, you need to be a bit stressed. Otherwise, you basically can't in that kind of situation. And I think I did the best race I've ever done after that. I've never been so, like, focused, and I've never been able to be so unafraid of doing a mistake. So I learned quite a lot of that race, and it was really good at the end. So I think that, and I think I have gotten that, like, ability to do that because I never give up if I have, like, a mistake, because I know that in the end you can see, like, on parts of the, like, course that, okay, I have that level that is needed to be as good as I want to. So I think that's why I've been able to, like, use my energy from a mistake to do really good things afterwards.
Awesome. Yeah, I absolutely love this approach. So I'll try to rephrase it and let me know if I got it right. So I feel like you're an athlete that doesn't really focus on the end result itself, but the joy that you get from a good race is just to be able to beat other runners, even if it's just on a single leg. So if you can get part of the race very well, it will still make you happy, right?
Or maybe a little frustrated as well.
Of course, because you want to have it perfect, and that's normal. The part of the race that wasn't perfect will be a source of frustration. Will also be a lesson that you can learn from and get better in the future. But in general, I think this is a very good way to approach this. And just on a previous training camp that I had with the team, I was talking with one of the athletes that said that, here I made a mistake and I got frustrated, and it was a source of more mistakes during the next legs and so on, right? And in these kind of situations, I always say that the mistake is, of course, something that is frustrating and it will get into your head. But the best way to follow up after the mistake is to just cut it off and say, okay, this happened and that's crap, and I will have to deal with this, but I will do it after the race, because now I can't, because I still have 7 legs until the end of this race, and I want to get each one of that leg perfectly, so that I will get as many good legs at the end of the race as possible. Because in the end, if you will think about this, I want to have each leg perfect, and you will have 17 out of 19 out of them perfectly, and on the other 2 you will make just slight mistakes. It will still be a very good result, right?
Yeah, and I think like this with you said that the young people maybe think like, I need to catch up. And they think like, I need to catch up by running fast. But if you could use that energy instead of thinking, I will run fast, I will do the orienteering, then maybe you could use energy to something good instead. Because I mean, if you are in front and if you know what's coming up next, then you will run fast. Because if you have that kind of mindset that you want to catch up, then you will run as fast as you can every part of the leg. That's for sure. So if you just use that energy to orienteering instead, you will probably do a very good race afterwards.
Awesome. I love it. So 2 comments. First of all, I want to explain to everyone that have been listening, because maybe not everyone got it. You say, if you know that you're in front, meaning that you know what's coming up next in terms of orienteering, which features you will see next. That's what you mean, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So you're like trying to read the map ahead of you, so that you have the confidence. Okay, I will see next this hill, this vegetation boundary, or whatever. Another thing. What was another thing? I had another one in my head. What was it? I don't know. Crap. It was a good one.
Oh no, not a good one.
Well, it's lost. Maybe it will come back later. I'll ask the last one that I try to ask to everyone, but sometimes I forget. But I got it here on the list, so I will not forget it this time. What is the most important orienteering skill for an orienteer? If you would have to choose just one, what would you say? Yeah.
Oi. I don't think one is more important than the other.
Wrong answer. You're not allowed to say that.
Okay.
Okay, it's not the wrong answer, but you're not allowed to say it.
Then if it's just one thing that you need to have as an orienteering terror, then it's focus.
Love it.
You need to be focused. Otherwise, it doesn't matter how good you are at different things.
I love it. So actually, when I was preparing the questions, I had another tricky one, which I didn't write in the end, because I thought that one tricky one is enough. But I was thinking about this one, that if you have two pills to choose from, like in Matrix, right? And one pill allows you to get perfect at all the orienteering skills, and the other one allows you to get perfect focus. Which one would you choose? Would you choose focus?
Yes, because I can use that in all my life.
Yeah, I would agree. And also, you know, even if you don't have these perfect orienteering skills, but you have perfect focus, you can probably it will immediately make those skills so much better, right?
Yes, of course it would. But yeah, I think focus is that's like an athlete's life. You need to be focused all the time.
Yeah, beautiful. All right, let's end it here. Thank you so much, Lisa, for joining the channel. You're a wonderful person. It was a great talk. And who knows, maybe we will see each other on one of the competitions in the future, or maybe on this channel again.
Yeah, hopefully.